Welcome to season number 2 of the Go for 2 podcast, episode number 20. I am your host, Jackson Wallace. I got my friend, my buddy, my pal, Lucas Avery with me. Lucas, how are you?
Fantastic. Okay, my team won, Jackson. So
You're just rubbing it in early, aren't you? You're just hitting me with it off the rip. You're over there. You're looking peachy.
hey, I started
Okay?
mid-game Sunday night.
Dude, listen. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into the woes of my favorite team. You
Not
and
yet.
What?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, you and I had personally a little bit different experiences. Came to fantasy. You kind of destroyed me this weekend. Same thing with our teams. Your team won. My team has like 3 season-ending injuries, but we're not going to talk about that at the moment. First thing I want to talk about, Lucas, because you and me were exchanging messages back and forth throughout the entire day. And first of all, thank God football's back. Okay, I really enjoyed my Sunday. I made some homemade dip, right? Homemade queso dip. It was fantastic. By
Of
the way.
course.
Okay?
Gotta
Sat
have.
back. Yeah, and I'm of age. Okay, so I was drinking my new favorite thing, Lucas, moonshine. Okay, apple pie moonshine, fantastic. If you ever get a chance to get a hold of it, it's so good.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was just sitting back, enjoying my Sunday, and we were going back and forth. And one of the messages I told you, because I was, my local game was the Washington game against Philly. And I told you in that message, I said, Lucas, I want to acknowledge Coach Ron Rivera because for those of you guys who don't know, this is a quick little shout out before we get to our comments. Coach Ron Rivera battling cancer. And so he had pre-planned throughout the game that he, just in case, just a precaution, he's going to get an IV at halftime. And so he'll be able to, keep coaching, go through the rest of the game. He wasn't feeling bad. He's good. He's going through treatment, doing his thing, but it's just extra precautions. And I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to somehow coach ends up seeing this. Thank you, man. I mean, I'm not a Washington fan. Okay, I'm not a Cowboy fan. All right, Cowboy fan for life. That's just the way it is. But I think Coach Rivera is an amazing coach. I think he is like that little glimmer of light in the dark tunnel that is the Washington organization at the moment. And I just think, regardless of if he plays on a rival or not, coaches a rival team, I think that's really cool. While you're going through cancer treatment, to be out there on the field with the guys, taking that extra precaution, doing the things you got to do. So I just thought that was really cool.
It's definitely cool. It definitely speaks to character when you
for sure
are in the situation that he's in, and it's like you're still going to war, with the fam. So it's awesome.
Yeah, super awesome. But I got some comments, Lucas. Got some comments.
You got them pulled up.
So they're ready to go. You didn't have to ask them for me this week.
I don't believe you.
You're training me. Look right here. Look, Casey.
All right. Wasting time. Get to reading.
All right, so here we go. For those of you guys who do not know, we post a podcast every single week. We're all audio platforms where everything can be heard. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the whole 9 yards is all posted up there every week. We also upload to YouTube. YouTube seems to be kind of our go-to place at the moment. People love going in there. And if you go into YouTube, leave us a comment on every single video. We're going to read it back the following week on every episode. So
come talk to us.
Yeah, come talk to us, engage with us, leave a comment if you have a question, if you have a concern, or if you're just, tell me that I look bad in a hat. I don't know. I'll read it out here for you anyway.
That's a nice hat, though.
So, thank you. Little Mickey.
So it ain't the hat's problem.
Yeah. All right, Casey. Casey, thank you, man, for commenting. All these comments are from you, my friend. First one is good pick, Jackson. The Pats over the Dolphins. Lucas number 11, Edelman. He's their number 1 target. You didn't acknowledge him last week. How dare you?
Yeah, well, look. Okay, he's their number 1 target. Cool. He's definitely good at what he does, but he's not a number 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Got another hot take from Casey. He says Justin Herbert, the rookie quarterback for the Chargers, is better than rookie number 1 draft pick Joe Burrow. It's going to be a good game. They should win.
Okay, hold up. Justin Herbert didn't get to play
over rookie number 1 draft pick Burrow.
All right, I just want to say, there's no way You can say that and believe that. Nope.
I mean,
It's
that's
not
how I
possible.
interpret his comment.
No. You're interpreting right. I'm talking to Casey. I ain't talking to you, Jax. Number one, Joe Burrow just had the best college quarterback season ever.
Ever.
Let that simmer on inside. Now, I know that there's a problem of college quarterbacks transitioning in, but if I'm looking at my counter right now, okay, if I pull up my stat sheet and I look at it, Joe Burrow has one NFL start where he drove his team down the field and put them in a position to tie and go into overtime. The kicker missed. Justin Herbert set the bench the whole time behind Tyrod Taylor.
There you
Next
go.
comment.
I think I'm interpreting that right because he was saying Justin Herbert, rookie quarterback for the Chargers, he's over number 1 draft pick Joe Burrow. That would be a good game. Maybe he was just saying like that he was gonna win the game against Joe Burrow. Hopefully, maybe he wasn't saying.
Well, he won from the bench. Either way.
Regardless, okay. Anyway,
I picked the
moving on,
Bengals.
Casey.
I got it wrong. I'm sorry.
Casey says, "Well, guys, Brady lost it. It's okay. Good job, Drew Brees. That was a great game to watch. Cam pulled off the W. The Pats, good job, Cam, I guess. And what the heck is the deal with the Cowboys D, Lordy? And Washington beat the Eagles? What? Wow, I did not see that one coming.
So Washington beating the Eagles, amazing. Okay. On the Tom Brady, on the Bucks Saints game, good job, Drew Brees. Yes, but better job, Saints defense. And
This was electric.
yes, Saints defense. I was really. We're not going to talk about this game really. So we'll go ahead and talk about it now. I was really caught off guard by the Saints offense. I didn't expect them to run that much against a team that was really good against the run last year.
Yeah, they were top 5 last year.
Yeah, and I mean, Michael Thomas wasn't really used. He wasn't really targeted. It was just run. It's like they went out there with the Titan strategy of like run, punt, play defense.
Do you think part of that is due to like it being week 1 and there was no preseason and you got to shake the rust off? Like, we're going to run the ball and we're going to play defense. We're going to play traditional style. Or do you think that's like,
I mean,
that was a game plan against Bucks specifically?
That's all I can think of is it's because it's week 1. I don't know. You're making me think a little bit because you bring up like because it's against, and you know some people are like, oh, we're playing Brady, we're gonna run the ball, take time off the clock. Like I get that, but I also feel like that isn't necessarily a strength of the Saints. And Drew Brees, I don't know this specifically off the top of my head, but he threw for like 200 something yards, right? Like he didn't even hit 300 yards. And
which is an all right game.
Well, yeah, but like you don't expect like, hey, Drew Brees threw for under 300 yards, and Michael Thomas had like 1 catch for 3.
Yeah, it seems odd.
It's just strange.
Maybe they're just trying to like slowly get his arm back in motion, or I don't know, get him going again.
I mean, he's definitely been throwing. All I can think of is they were like, hey, we've watched football games, specifically the Thursday night football game.
Yeah.
They looked at that and they were like, what did these teams do? The Texans came out and were super rusty for most of the game. The Chiefs came out, they felt rusty, so they ran the football to steady themselves. And then they started throwing the ball. And Patrick Mahomes, you know, they won a game. Chiefs won, and he threw for like 250 yards, 220, something weird. And so maybe kind of trying to use that same model. So like, if I had to pick, I definitely believe it's because it was week 1.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm leaning towards that.
And Michael Thomas is hurt now.
Yeah, he's got a high ankle sprain. Yeah, that really, detrimental.
Chalk my fantasy.
Yeah, bro, it's just wild.
Even though I won.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, so more comments here again from Casey. He says, "Okay, boys, this is for both of us, Lucas. Take it or leave it. Frank Gore will be the new all-time leading rusher before he retires. For your frame of reference, and I remember Casey sending me a message about this last week or so. I think he said he's about, was it 3,000 yards or something? I think I'm going to find your message here, Casey, and see what you told me. And see how far he's off. Yeah. Hey, did you know he sent me a message? This is literally last week. Hey, man, did you know that Frank Gore only needs like a little over 3,000 yards to break the record for Emmitt Smith. So do we think that Frank Gore can play long enough? Take it or leave it that he's going to play long enough to break it.
No. For him to break it, I feel like he'd have to have 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons in a row, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see him hitting close to 15 or 2K. You know, to make it, to do it in 2. I feel like he has to play.
I mean, if he played 10 more years, yeah.
Realistically, for him, he has to play 4. And he's up there, man. Like, he's one of the older players in the league right now.
I feel like 4 is still asking a lot. 3,000 yards in 4 years for a. He's always going to be. He's going to be a number 2 at least at the highest. I mean, like. Yeah, I don't think he can do it. It just.
I don't think so either. I'm gonna leave it. Good question. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. How do you like the rookie LSU running back ran over Houston like nothing? That was the best part of Thursday night's game. Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Dude was going off, man. He's playing extremely well. I think what he does is he makes his Kansas City offense. It was already elite. They are now a point is already lethal. It's into the stratosphere. They're a whole new level of lethal now. If you combine a true running game, which is what it can potentially happen with this new running back, that team gets real scary real fast. Because you got Tyreek Hill on the outside, right? The cheetah. Okay. Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, Mahomes is a big time playmaker. You add in the running game, not to mention all these other receivers that are out there that he throws to everybody. It's scary with Andy Reid drawing up the plays, man. Chiefs are the real deal. I think if they can develop into again, it's week 1, it's one game, but if they can develop him into a true feature back, somehow their offense just got better.
Well, he's literally everything they had in Damian Williams, except he runs the ball better. And so, did you know that Damian Williams opted out because of COVID?
Did he really?
Yeah, so I didn't know that. I mean, my man scored like 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Should have won Super Bowl MVP. Didn't get it, but
he really won Super Bowl MVP.
He opted out, and now I think his job's gone. He's lost his job, and so I think he's going to be the starter there for at least 4 years. Yeah, and with him and Mahomes, they're cooking.
They are cooking with some real peanut oil, that's for sure. All right, last comment, Mr. Lucas. Okay, hold on. I can't believe you just said this, Casey. I read the first sentence, and I almost don't even want to read the rest of it. Lucas, listen to this. Aaron Rodgers just needs to retire. He got a ring, and I'm sick of his discount double-check crap. He's a good quarterback, but he's not a splash like Brady, Breeze, or Russell. Like, it's just Rodgers. I mean, yeah, he's good. He's the quarterback that got mad at Brett Favre for trying to come back.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and come out and say it right now. In terms of quarterback play, Aaron Rodgers is better than Brady and Breeze right now.
Woo! Hot take.
It's warm. Maybe. Lukewarm. Russell Wilson is better than both of them also. Just because of how old Tom Brady and Drew Brees are, they're both good quarterbacks. They're extremely smart. I'd probably say I might put them in smarts, like in decision making over it. But in terms of like pure quarterback skill and ability, like I think they pass them. And I will get to the Packers and Mr. Aaron Rodgers later in Take It or Leave It, sir. So you just buckle up for the next hour.
I cannot believe you just said that, Casey. I really cannot believe that. I think that is blasphemous. I think he performed extremely well this weekend. I think he is one of the purest passers ever to grace our league. And yeah, you know what? I agree with Lucas. Right now, he's better than Brady in terms of pure passing ability. I'm not taking into account anything that Brady brings to the team.
Brady's the GOAT. Mentality. And Breeze holds all the records.
Yes. I'm talking about purely throwing the football. He's better than Brady. Breeze, I can have a toss-up. Probably lean towards Rodgers right now in terms of throwing football.
He's more athletic. He can actually like throw on the run and stuff.
Correct. Without taking into account anything else that they bring into the team, pure passing ability, I agree with Lucas. You sir, are just a hater. You're a hater, Casey. That's it.
Yeah. So
But we love you anyway. Thank you for commenting.
So next up, everyone, we have the depressing segment of the pod. Mr. Jackson is going to explain to us his cowboy woes while I play the world's saddest song on the world's smallest violin.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Okay, listen. So we're gonna get into this section of the pod, and listen, we usually do a full segment with our other programming, Hometown Heroes. We'll have an announcement about that later on at the end of the show. But I wanted to kind of dedicate a full segment here to what's going on with Dallas, because there are two kind of major points here that are very worrying to me.
It's America's team, and there's a lot that's gone on that we haven't covered recently. So
for sure,
take it away, sure, Mr. Jackson.
So the first thing here, this is one of the really, this is kind of the blatant and obvious one, are injuries. I mean, I can't remember having a Dallas Cowboy team this early on in the season we were this depleted, this fast. Number one, most significantly, Blake Jarwin, right? Out for the entire season, non-contact play, ruptured his Achilles, or not his Achilles, ruptured his ACL. So he's out for the entire year. He's going to have to come back and battle back. It's a good thing for him that he just signed his contract. He literally signed, I think, like 5 or 6 days ago, Lucas. And so he signed a 3-year extension worth a certain amount of money. A certain amount of that was guaranteed. So his job is at least secure. His money is at least secure heading back into next year. And I think if you remember in a Hometown Heroes episode earlier on in the year, Lucas, whenever we were kind of without some football, I talked about Blake Jarwin and how I thought he was going to have a breakout performance this year because of the fact that our offense, when you look at it from top to bottom, in terms of targets, we're pretty loaded, we're pretty stacked, and able to kind of move the ball in any direction we want to. Theoretically, on paper, that's what we're looking at, right? So I thought Blake Jarwin was going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities with some linebackers, and that was going to become Dak's new security blanket. Obviously, we're not really going to be able to get to see that happen this year, so he's a significant blow. Next, we're talking about Leighton Vander Esch. Last year, he missed some time. He had some neck issues, had a neck surgery over the offseason. We were looking good, but things were looking promising. He was slated to come back. He did. He played, and first game back from that neck surgery, he breaks his collarbone. So he is out for at least 8 weeks. They're saying he could return after that, but like I said, being a Cowboy fan, I saw what happened to Tony Romo with his collarbone issues, and this really scares me for Leighton Vander Esch. When we drafted him a couple of years ago, he was a top talent. He quickly became one of the best linebackers in the league. The Dallas Cowboys started having conversations, or there was conversation going on about the Dallas Cowboys about how good this linebacking core was, especially 2 years ago. Jalen Smith, fresh off of his injuries, Leighton Vander Esch fully healthy, and in his towards the end of his prime, albeit, but still a very capable leader of the defense, Sean Lee. Right? Those are our 3 linebackers. It was among the best in a best core of 3 in the entire league. Now we're down to just one of those linebackers because the other linebacker who is out is Sean Lee. He did not get to play in the Rams game. He had a hernia surgery, and he will be out for at least 6 weeks. Back to Leighton Vander Esch real quick. Broken collarbones. 8 weeks is beyond optimistic. I think we're looking at least 12, if anything at all. I honestly don't see him coming back this season. With what happened with Tony Romo and bringing him late back into the season, he broke his collarbone week 1. We brought him, and we didn't have Dak. This was 2015 or so. We brought him back at the Thanksgiving game. That was right around the 8 to 9 week mark. He broke it again, and ultimately ended up leading to the end of his career the following year when Dak took over. So I think the Cowboys have to be extremely careful here and try and learn from our mistakes. We tried to bring back Romo way too early, and we ended his career short. And part of that was due to Dak and Dak being successful and have one of the best rookie years for a quarterback ever. Yes, that's a contributing factor, but also the reason why we drafted Dak in the 4th round is because we had concerns about Romo with his collarbone. And I'm really concerned about Leighton Vander Esch with his collarbone, having those issues along with his neck injuries before. I hope this doesn't end to an early retirement or an early prolong an issue later on. I hope that he can get his money that he is deserved and that he can play for a long time. I think what the Cowboys need to do is just shut him down for the rest of the year. Say we're not going to risk it. Come back next year, be better. Hopefully, post COVID and everything else going on, and not to take the risk. So, 3 significant injuries for the Cowboys roster.
1 week.
2 of our linebackers, 1 week. So they're all gone. We're not going to see them. I think the only one we're going to see this year is Shamsar Lee. So obviously we're worrying about that. We play the Falcons next. We have a tough schedule this year. After that, we play the Seahawks and so on and so forth. But it should be interesting to see how we go moving forward. But anyway, that's you could see why I'm a little disgruntled and a little bit worried heading into the rest of the year. But again, week 1, we'll see what the future holds for us. Okay, second thing I want to talk about with the Cowboys is actually in one part a good thing and in one part a bad thing. Good thing is because Dak did an interview with a man named Graham Bellinger, and he does a interview series called In Depth, where he sits down with an athlete or he sits down with a celebrity, and he's they took proper COVID precautions. He hung out with them at their house, and they go deep. They go into an interview that doesn't just cover sports; it covers everything about the person's life. So Dak, and as soon as I'm sure you guys saw this last week. He had that interview with him, and he opened up about a lot of things that he was going through. Specifically talking about mental health and a state where he was at during the beginning, in the middle of the COVID crisis. That being I don't say locked up, but being kind of self-isolated for a while, really kind of played with his anxiety. And I think and he talked about how his brother's suicide this past year really, really affected him. So if you don't, I encourage you guys to go back and listen to this interview. I'll watch the entire full thing. You can find it on YouTube. If I remember, I'll put the link in the description for y'all. But go back and watch if you get a chance. He talks about how close his family was, how his brothers and his dad came back together after his parents had separated, but his mother began to go through colon cancer. She later died from it in 2013. But the men in that household became very close in a very tight-knit group. And they also interviewed Dak's brother, one of Dak's older brothers, and how he had just saw his other brother who committed suicide 3 days before. He seemed happy. He seemed fine. He seemed content. He seemed normal. And 3 days later, he gets a phone call from his dad that his brother had passed away, took his own life. So Dak opens up about all those comments and how everything just kind of jumbled together. Around this time of year, he's always missing his mom anyway because she died. Then, of course, COVID happens and the world changes, and now his brother. So he talks about that, and he opened up about his mental health and anxiety that he was dealing with, and just kind of wanted to help some other people just in case they were going through something similar, which I thought was very good of him. I thought it was very good of him and courageous. I think, there's a stigma out there, especially and you guys will understand what I'm talking about, that men have to be tough and exterior and not show emotion and not open up to their friends or not talk about things that bother them, or they have to be sturdy, straightforward, true. And while part of that's kind of, built into the wiring, I think it takes, or at least I'm personally of the opinion, I think it takes true strength to be vulnerable and to expose yourself emotionally to those people that are closest to you, to your friends, to your loved ones, and so on and so forth. And even more courageous to open yourself up to an entire room full of media outlets who are immediately going to report this to the Dallas Morning News and the Nashville Times and everything else. You know what I mean? Like, I think it takes a true sense of security of one's own character to be vulnerable like that in front of so many other people. So I thought that was really cool what he did. linking back in the bad news part. For a long time, I'd been a good fan of Skip Bayless. And Skip and Shannon, of course, if you guys don't know their show, Undisputed, it's over on Fox. It's a good time. It's a decent show. I personally prefer First Take. That's just kind of me.
Skip is a clown.
Yeah. Skip is known for saying some wildly outlandish things, and I know sometimes he does it for attention and these things like that. And I'm not here to critique him and how he does his job, but the only thing that I disagreed with was his comments about Dak. And he says, and I don't have a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing here, but you can find the interview on YouTube. Him and Shannon are talking about it. He basically says that Dak shouldn't have opened himself up to the public because he's a Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Because he's supposed to command his troops, and it's because he's supposed to be sturdy and true and not show emotion. And that he was disheartened by the fact that the Dallas Cowboys leader in that locker room was vulnerable. Right. And that's basically what he was saying. I mean, I don't have it directly of what he said. You can go back and watch the interview, but that's the general gist.
Yeah, it was literally, he literally said that basically he was hurting the team. That he hurt the team by coming out and saying that stuff. And that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, beyond ridiculous and wild. And so I just wanted to take a moment and talk about that for two reasons. Number one, I encourage you to go watch the interview and what Skip said and of course, make your own opinion. But the second thing is just, and I know a lot of our viewers are guys just in general. Y'all, it is like, especially running off of what like Dak has said, it is okay to be vulnerable and to tell your friends or the media or whoever else like what's going on. It's a lot better if you're going through something like that, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, to just talk about it. Right. And that's kind of the first step to fixing it. And so I thought that was really cool that what Dak did, and I am happy and proud of that. But I was really, really disheartened by what Skip had said. I thought that was not cool.
Yeah,
but
it was definitely not cool.
That's my Cowboys woes, man.
That's all of them?
Yeah, you know, I'll talk later about what happened with the game. We have a lot of injuries going on. Basically, we have some issues that we have to fix, especially with the offensive line. I know Joe Looney's a good person and he's a good player, but I really, really think, and I know losing Travis Frederick has hurt our offensive line. We lost the battle in the trenches on Sunday night,
right?
And the same thing happened in 2018 when he was gone for a year with his autoimmune disease. I'm not blaming him for retiring early, and especially with COVID and everything going on, I completely understand autoimmune issue. You know, he played last year. He played extremely well. Don't want to take a risk. Just, you know, live your life happy. I totally get that. I don't blame him at all.
Yeah. Well, you literally have a family member that like has a little deal like that going on. So like you totally understand. Like you have to put yourself ahead 100%. Of that stuff.
Yeah, totally get that. But on the back end, a center is going to be a high priority target for us in the upcoming drafts because.
Did y'all not draft one?
We did. We drafted one later in like the 6th or 7th round. Yeah, so kind of meh, right? But because of course we have other issues to address secondary, and which was exposed, of course, in the game. But I don't know, man. I feel like, and I know. Tell me if this is just too panicky, Lucas. But I'm really starting to feel like get the vibe. Yeah, thank you. That injuries and other stuff going on, like. It's going to be a long year.
All right, so I say you're too panicky, and the reason is because you still have your quarterback.
True.
As long as you have your quarterback, I think you're fine. If your quarterback goes down, I think losing a quarterback is the one position where your team will crumble.
Yeah. Oh, we absolutely still have a shot, and we absolutely are.
And you're in a terrible division. All right, I just watched the Giants get destroyed. I felt like by the Steelers, like their
Mm-hmm.
offense, not necessarily, but the Steeler defense was just, yeah. And Daniel Jones is doing second year quarterback mistakes. Um, so not really expecting much from them. I've
And
got
there's
Carson Wentz doing Carson Wentz things and throwing 2 interceptions and losing to the Washington football team.
who, by the way, is on
And
top of the seas at the moment.
yeah, and so like then there's Washington. You don't even want to get into
Yeah,
their, you don't want to open their can of worms, you know. And so like it's definitely just, it's the Cowboys division to lose. I don't know if the injuries like necessarily, if I can hold that true still, but I still like you guys more. I still like the Cowboys more to win.
You know, and like again, I don't think by any means the season's over. I think it's very winnable. I think even with everything going on, we still were in a position to win our game on Sunday night. Um, a couple things happened. I'll talk about those later. But I think we could be a competitive team. But just a little note that there's definitely some stuff going on with the Cowboys team, and it's going to take some extreme fortitude to battle through that. But
Right. So
we get to go through.
something that's always helped me is to think of it like, hey, the Titans are in the AFC South, and to get into the playoffs, we are competing with the other 3 teams in the AFC South. We're not competing with the rest of the NFL, right? Now, when you get to the playoffs, you are, but until then, it's just playoffs, and then you can think about going farther. And so, I think you're okay. No need to panic yet.
Not yet, not yet. But anyway, that's just what's going on with the Cowboys.
Awesome.
State of the Lone Star State.
Yeah. So now that we're out of the depression mode, okay, all right, we can get into some cool stuff. So this week we're gonna start our new segment. Okay, we don't have a name for it yet. We came up with some names. They were a little cheesy. Okay, so if you come up with a name, drop it in the comments. If it's good, we'll do it. If it's bad, we won't mention it because we don't want to roast you in front of everyone. So, so we're gonna start this new segment where we each pick a team that is good, a team that's great, and then we'll pick a team that is trash, based off of last week's performance. And so, you know, the Jets aren't that good, but hey, if they go out and put 50 on the Patriots, then I'm gonna say that they were the great team last week.
Had a good performance, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Right. So I want to start, Mr. Jackson, on my good team.
Okay, who you got?
All right, my good team. I got the Ravens. The Browns got demolished. Okay.
They got absolutely destroyed.
Browns got absolutely demolished. My great team is Mr. Casey, the Packers.
Ooh, the great! You're giving them a great team.
I'm giving them great. The reason I'm giving them great is because I didn't get to watch all of their game, but I got to watch we were flipping between it and the Browns Ravens and the Jets Bills. Okay, so I was watching all 3 games back and forth. So
sure,
give me some slack, okay? But it really looked like the Packers. Number one, Aaron Rodgers looks different this year. He said he worked out on his lower body strength. Apparently, when you get older, you don't necessarily lose your arm strength and stuff. What you're really losing is your legs. So he really worked on his legs a lot this year. He's got that good base, the power going into his throws when he twists. Their pass rush was awesome. Okay. And I felt like they were a better prepared team than the Vikings. Matt LaFleur did a good job.
It hurts you to say that.
As much as it hurts. Okay. Their run game is solid. Their line did a good job. Aaron Rodgers is back to doing Aaron Rodgers things. Devontae Adams had a day. Their defense is rushing the passer. They've got a stud corner in Alexander.
The pieces are there.
Yeah, and I thought they played really good. I know Kirk Cousins and the Vikings kind of tried to roar back at the end, but the game was over.
Yeah.
And so I gave them the great team of the week just because they beat the Vikings team that I wanted them to win. And then my trash team, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
The Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, hit him with it.
All right. The Browns were bad. Okay. Their offense was bad everywhere except for the one light known as Jarvis Landry. Nick Chubb's good.
By the way,
Do what?
who has a hip injury now? By the way,
Really? I didn't know that. Okay.
he's questionable for week 2.
Well, I thought Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt played good, other than I think Nick Chubb fumbled, and their offensive line wasn't doing the best. Granted, it was the Ravens' defense, and then their defense could not do anything against the Ravens. The Ravens did whatever they wanted to on offense. I give them the trash label, mostly because of Odell.
Ooh,
Something's going on, man. So
yeah, we talked last week about some things.
something's going on. This man had like 10 targets and caught like 2 balls or 4 max, and they were just like force feeding him. And I have a problem with force feeding Odell, even though he's just so amazing, because you have all these other weapons. You have your 2 halfbacks that are studs. You have Jarvis Landry, who's a stud. You've got Njoku, who's a stud tight end. You also got Austin Hooper, right?
Yeah.
So they have 2 good tight ends, 2 number 1 wide receivers, and one guy was not getting the job done. I would literally watch this man drop the ball on like 3rd and 3, and he dropped it at the first down, like a little 3 to 5 yard pass, hit him in the face, just dropped the ball. If you can't convert that when you're wide open, you can't catch the ball, you got a problem. That shows me that there's something going on with the coaching, I think, too. You got to be able to adapt in games like that. And they just got destroyed on all fronts, also, just the whole team. They did not win any part of the game.
That was definitely had a bad performance, right? Worthy of the trash label. Going in with my teams, Lucas, my good team. I have a different team than you. I have the Arizona Cardinals, and I have them rated as good because they beat a last year great team in the San Francisco 49ers. So, by the way, the 49ers didn't play awful or bad. They came out firing, right? Their defense was good. Raheem Mostert had like a 76-yard run or something like that. It was insane, right? So, but they beat a good 49ers team and are now contenders in the NFC West based off that week 1 win. We'll see how that develops late. DeAndre Hopkins, huge addition to this team, as we knew that it was going to be. We saw Houston desperately missing him in the opener.
Yep.
We saw the Cardinals absolutely loving him. He just got his mega deal. He's happy. He's content. He's playing alongside a future Hall of Famer, Larry Fitzgerald, and the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Kyler Murray. He is in good spirits and playing well because of it. Had a touchdown as well. So they are my good team, and a team that Lucas, because he's a prophet, called as a dark horse team heading into the season. So keep an eye on the Arizona Cardinals. They're looking really good so far. My great team, easy for me this week, looking at the Ravens. Like you said, they absolutely demolished the Browns on every facet of the game.
Yep.
Their defense was ferocious. Their run game was incredible. Their passing game was good. Their tight end went off this week. So they outcoached the Browns. Like, they just completely dismantled them. So
real quick, I know I'm interrupting. I'm sorry. I do want to say just the reason I didn't give Ravens great is because they were playing the Browns. And I don't know where the Browns are at. I know I've been saying that I thought they would be sneaky good this year.
Sure.
It really looked like the Browns just couldn't do anything. And that might be because of the Ravens, or it might be like 70% of the Ravens and 30% the Browns. And so I gave them good.
We need more information. I totally get that. I'm going with great based off of where we expected the Browns to be heading into this season.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll see how that shapes out as we get a couple more weeks under our belt. My last team, my trash team, my garbage team, whatever you want to call it, Jets. These guys can't really move the ball that well. They had a 1 home run play late in the 4th quarter, 69-yard bomb. Other than that, handful of field goals. The Bills were better on defense. The Bills were better coached. They were in their face and aggressive. I just feel like the Jets, you're really missing Robbie Anderson. Your line is banged up. Le'Veon Bell is now hurt.
No
I
Jamal
don't know what else
Adams.
to tell you. You lost Jamal Adams. I think you lost another safety. You are in rebuilding mode. I totally get it, but trash. They're a bad team. They're not in contention for the AFC West or AFC East, excuse me. So those are my teams, Lucas. But
I like it. So yeah, uh, that's our new segment. I still can't. I can't think of a good name. Okay, so we need help. People in the comments, especially Mr. Casey. I need you to put your big brain thinking cap on and come up with a good name that's not cheesy. Okay, Jackson said Triple G. All right, so go ahead and mark that off the list.
yeah, look that down. That's fair.
Yeah. Anyways, on to the next segment for the pod this week. We've got our picks.
We got
Okay, got to do the pick'ems. Quick update on the games from last week. The Chiefs beat the Texans. The Jacksonville Jaguars actually came out and beat the Colts. That was crazy. The Bears beat the Lions because the Lions had that crazy drop, man. That just blew my mind. DeAndre Swift. That was one of the crazy things. The Eagles lost to Washington. That was awesome. The Dolphins lost to the Patriots. Sad. I picked them to win. Sad. Packers beat the Vikings. The Raiders beat the Panthers. That was a really good game. Josh Jacobs went off. The Jets lost to the Bills. The Browns lost to the Ravens. The Seahawks beat the Falcons. The Chargers beat the Bengals barely. I wanted the Bengals to win. This week was terrible for field goal kickers, by the way. It wasn't just the Titans. I just want everyone to know that.
The Bengals should have won that game. Joe Burrow completed a beautiful touchdown pass to A.J. Green in the corner of the end zone. At the end, it was called back due to a penalty. Therefore, they had to kick the field goal.
You know all about losing big plays due to a penalty this week.
Oh, man, that was cold. Yeah. But yes, true.
Anyways, the Buccaneers lost to the Saints. Sorry, Casey, but I guess you're content either way. The Cardinals beat the 49ers. Let's see. Cowboys lost to the Rams. Steelers beat the Giants. And the Titans beat the Broncos, even though we can't kick field goals except for game winners. All right? So as far as I'm concerned, Gostowski is not that kicker that missed 4 field goals. He's the guy that won the game. Okay? All right?
We like the boy. Just gave him a big old hug there at the end. I loved Monday night and having a pair of Monday night games to watch with the boys. It was fantastic. I enjoyed every minute of it.
It was really cool watching the post-game press conference 1 a.m. the Titans players actually got back home at like 6:30. And jeez, so anyways. Let's see. Our records, Jackson. I couldn't find them. I'm blind. Okay? So I went 6-10 and you went 10-6. Super sad. I'm very I'm very upset. I gotta make that up this week. So let's get into the picks for this week. The first game, the Thursday night football game. I think it's gonna be a good game. Bengals at the Browns.
Bengals at the Browns, and this is a game where you expect the Bengals to come out on all cylinders and fire, and against a Browns team that just lost and got destroyed. I think the Browns are gonna bounce back. I'm picking them at home on Thursday night.
All right. So Jackson's doing that because most of the time Thursday night football games, the home team wins. And he's probably right. But I've got a feeling. Like the Black Eyed Peas. All right?
You going with Burrow.
I'm going with Burrow. Okay?
I like it. I like the pick. Right. I almost didn't pick it,
A.J. Brown just needed to get some rust off. All right? I'm going with the Bengals. I, weirdly enough, trust their coaching more than the Browns right now. And the Browns got some internal issues going on, man. Like, we talk about how bad Washington, like, in their, like, positions of power has problems.
Sure.
That's not quite as bad as a big locker room problem. I think the big locker room problems, well, I guess they're both bad. If you have people in positions of power that are bad, your org's going to be bad for a long time. But a bad locker room can kill your team in a year, just overnight. And so... I don't know. Next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars coming to play the Titans, Jackson.
I got to go with the Titans at home. I do. I think you guys look pretty good, especially in that Monday night outing. Barring the missed field goals. Derrick Henry starting to turn them wheels again, and I fully expect another 99-yard run against the Jaguars.
I'm going with the Titans too. Did you know we threw the ball like 45 times? Tannehill was like 38 for 45 or something.
Jeez,
And it was
man.
all these little short throws.
Corey Davis played good.
Corey Davis had a great game.
Yeah, he played really good.
Um, but yeah, I'm going with the Titans too. I mean, we threw the ball we draw back, throw the ball 45 times, and we still won. That don't happen.
You choke like the Colts did, so I'm going with you.
Falcons at the Cowboys.
You know what? I gotta have faith in my boys coming back home. Feel like we're gonna play good. The Falcons are definitely a tough opponent, but showing faith in Dallas this week.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Cowboys because I really think it's gonna be a bounce back. The Falcons are just bad, man. They're gonna have to do some stuff. They've got a new coach or something. I don't know what it is, but they really got some problems too. I don't think it's like they have a bad locker room or anything. They still got a depression hanging over them from Tom Brady beating them.
Got beat 20. Yeah, you're up 28-3, man. That's gonna hang with you for a while.
Panthers at the Bucks.
Panthers at the Bucks. I got the Bucks. I don't. 100%.
So this is tough for me. I didn't really like the Panthers last week. I got to watch them, so I'm gonna go the Buccaneers too. Bruce Arians kind of called out Tom Brady after last week's game, and I think he's going to take that and come back as a wild man.
Yes.
Broncos at the Steelers.
Broncos at the Steelers. Let's see. I have the Steelers at home. Broncos banged up. Steelers looked really good on Monday night. I just don't think the Broncos have enough weapons to keep up.
Yeah. Also going with the Steelers. Just the Broncos got some problems, man. They don't have enough talent, I feel like, and Drew Lock missed some throws that would have won the game. They would have beat the Titans if he would have hit some throws. So, Rams at the Eagles. I'm sorry for those. Y'all just hear like that jet airplane just go flying by my window. Jesus. Rams at the Eagles.
Rams at the Eagles. Who did I pick for this game? I have it here on my little sheet here. I got the Rams on the road. Eagles looked really suspect against the Washington team. Go up 17-0. They collapsed early and they collapsed often. I'm not worried. I'm a Cowboys fan, but if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm really worried about the offensive line. Washington had like 8 or 9 sacks that game. It was just absolutely something insane. I think that's going to be a problem. If you're having a problem against the Washington defensive line, and yes, Chase Young is fantastic, sure, but we're going to replace that with Aaron Donald. I don't see that. I don't see the Eagles winning the trenches there. I'm going with the Rams on the road.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Rams all the way. 49ers at the Jets.
49ers get some redemption. Yes, they were a tough Cardinals team. Jets, as I said before, with my trash team of the week. So, yeah, I got to go with the Niners.
Yeah, easy pick, Niners. Bills at the Dolphins. This might be a good game.
This is going to be a good game. I'm really looking forward to it, but I got the Bills on the road. I like their defense just a little bit better.
Yeah, I got to go for the Bills too, especially after the Patriots beat the Dolphins the way they did. Josh Allen's kind of a
little bit more
Cam Newton. He's kind of a Cam Newton-esque kind of guy. You know what I mean?
That type of style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vikings at the Colts.
I got the Vikings on the road here. The Colts had every opportunity to win the game against the Jaguars, but choked at every single turn. You're looking at Marlon Mack being injured, so Jonathan Taylor's coming in to take over the starting spot. I don't know, man. Philip Rivers having a hard time getting acclimated. I don't know what's going on, but I'm looking at the Vikings here. Have a good game.
I'm going with the Vikings too. I'm another week of watching Philip Rivers, and I'm probably going to start throwing some hot takes out there about Philip Rivers needing to be benched for Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
That was... Yeah. Lions at the Packers.
I got the Packers at home, man. Like we said, they're especially like you said in your take, Packers playing extremely well. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, little side note to add on to Aaron Rodgers, he worked on his lower strength. He gave an interview earlier on, I think it was the Pat McAfee show, if I'm not mistaken. But he gave an interview and he talked about that this was the first time in 16 years of him playing in the NFL that his arm has not been hurt or his arm has not been sore. in the offseason. He said the schedule of the COVID protocol for a lack of an offseason really helped him kind of re-energize and reinvigorate his arm. And actually this was Pat McAfee. So Pat McAfee and them have talked about that the NFL Players Association has, and some players within that have been pushing for a COVID-esque type schedule for the past several years, because especially for these older guys, the wear and tear really starts to hit you.
Right.
And not that they want to completely get rid of OTAs or off-season protocol or whatever. It's just that, like, especially for some veteran players, give them a little bit more of a relaxed schedule to let them kind of heal. So he's feeling good, and I mean, he's showcased on Sunday.
Yeah, I gotta go Packers too. I like the Lions. I expected them to win last week, but
they should have.
Sad times. Giants at the Bears.
Giants at the Bears. I think this is going to be a good game. Defensive, is what I was thinking. But I'm going to go with the Bears, man. I don't know. Something about them in this matchup specifically leads me towards their side. They lucked out against the Lions, but I don't know, man. The Giants just kind of looked a little bit flat, especially on defense. I don't know, man. I'm going to go with a weird pick. I'm going with the Bears.
I don't think it's weird. I'm going with the Bears too. If you can't run the ball with Saquon Barkley, then you're gonna lose. That's all I know. That's all I know to tell you.
Yeah.
Washington at the Cardinals.
I mean, this is your true test for Washington here, right? Was the Philly game a fluke? Is your defense really that good? Find out against Kyler Murray. I'm going against Kyler Murray. I'm putting my money on him and D-Hop and the Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald. I got Cardinals.
Yeah, I got to go Cardinals too. Chiefs at the Chargers.
Chiefs on the road, 100%. They have extra time to not only prepare for this game, but also to rest because they play the opener on Thursday night. I expect them to be ready to go.
Yeah, the Chiefs are running through them, spear them.
Yeah.
Ravens at the Texans.
Ravens and the Texans, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens look like the more complete team right now. The Texans, I mean, it's a tough schedule beginning first couple games for you. You got to play the Chiefs and you got to play the Ravens. So, the back-to-back MVPs over there with Mahomes and now with Lamar Jackson kind of sucks for the look of the draw. But I got to go with the Ravens here. I just think they're more complete. I think the Texans really are missing DeAndre Hopkins, but we'll see what Deshaun Watson can do next week.
Yeah. I got to go with the Ravens as well. The Texans are not going to be able to throw on them. And I'm really scared for Deshaun Watson running around like a maniac in the backfield, not knowing what's going on, because he doesn't have that number one guy to throw it to when there's 4 people chasing him in the backfield. So, got to go Ravens. Patriots at the Seahawks.
I got the Seahawks at home, and Russell Wilson looks like he is in MVP form. Interesting fact, by the way, Lucas, Russell Wilson has never received one MVP vote in his entire career. No one's ever voted for him for MVP.
I thought you should have got it last year.
Yeah, I feel like you should have got it last year. I think it changes this year. I think, they were kind of an air raid type offense last week, but I think that continues. I don't think the Patriots have enough firepower to keep up.
Yeah.
I got Seahawks.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Seahawks can run the ball. They can pass the ball. They got more weapons than the Patriots. I think they edge them out. Saints at the Raiders.
The Raiders had a good showing last week. They played well. Josh Jacobs went off. I don't think that helps them this week with the Saints' defense. Like you said, they look fantastic. When the Saints can run the ball effectively and win games that way, they become extremely scary. I look for Breeze to have a little bit more arm movement this week. Yes, you don't have Michael Thomas, but they've already proved that they have a variety of weapons to throw at you. And I like their coaching better, too. I'm going with the Saints on the road.
Yeah, I got the Saints, too. No way the Raiders, I don't think, can overcome that defense right now.
I don't think so.
All right, so that's it for the picks this week. Now we get to go to a take it or leave it, Mr. Jackson. All right.
Let's get it.
For those of you who don't know, take it or leave it is something we do every single week where I go in, I ask Jackson like 4 things, I tell him if he takes it, leaves it, we talk about it. It's a good time. Number 1, we should be worried about Tom Brady.
I think you leave it. I don't think we should be worried about the GOAT. Now, here's the thing about his play against the Saints. He came out that first drive, and you could tell that drive was is scripted. Not in terms of like the NFL is rigged. I'm not getting there. I'm just saying that like you could tell that they had a game plan for how they wanted to approach and to attack that defense early. It came out. It worked really well. First drive, scored. After that, Saints made adjustments. They got creative. It was really hard for Tampa to start kind of get back into the things. They struggled running the football, and the Saints capitalized on that. I think this is part and to be expected for a team who or a man to come into a brand new team, a brand new organization with new faces, and to come and play a team that is as on the opposite side of the spectrum, that is as well coached and has the most amount of chemistry possible in their division against the Saints, and expect the Buccaneers to come out and play extremely well and win the game. I think what we're seeing right now is the result from a lack of preseason off-season workouts. I think Brady will get better as the year goes on, and he has a variety of weapons. I'm not ready to pull the trigger and start panicking on Brady quite yet.
Yeah, I agree. You got to leave it. He's the GOAT. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Number 2, Jackson.
Yes, sir.
That bad man, Aaron Rodgers, is officially back.
I think so. I think with everything that you said about this is the first time you've ever that I've heard you given the Packers an elite level status or a great team. We talked about how his lower body is working. We talked about how his arm is feeling better for the first time in 16 years of him competing in this game. We talked about him making throws that we haven't seen him make since 2011. Devontae being readily available and good to go and fully healthy. I think so. I think he showcased it week 1. Time will tell over the course of the season, but he came out with a fire and he's looking really good.
Yep. I've also got to take it. Go watch the game. That's all I got to say. KC.
I got nothing to say. Yeah, dude. What's up with that?
Number 3, COVID has hurt teams a lot.
Yeah, take it. I think so. I think there's a reason that there's a preseason. Now, I'm not saying that there should have been a preseason. I agree with the with the decision with the NFL not to have one, and there's just a lot of outside factors that influence that. But what preseason and OTAs and off-season workouts allow you to do is they allow you to get loose and get going and feel it out. We had a lot of injuries week 1. And when you're going from 0 to full speed of guys that are 350 pounds but can also run a 4.4 and hit you like a car wreck every single play, it's going to have some effects. We had a lot of guys go out. A lot of guys have some minor injuries, some bigger ones, but I felt like it was really kind of lopsided from this first week. And I think part of that is no offseason, because the natural progression of the offseason and the natural progression of the preseason is your starters. Yeah, you're out there. It's your first time you're going live. But part of the reason the games don't matter too is none of those guys are going 100% full hard. They're not going to run at you full speed. They're warming up and they're getting their engines going too for as soon as week 1 hits. It's a progression. It's a buildup. Plus, you're only playing 1 or 2 series the first game. You're playing a half the second game, and maybe the third game you're playing 3 quarters. You know what I mean? It's just different. It's kind of a buildup. And so I think because we didn't have that this year, not through the fall of the NFL or anybody else, but it's showing some effect on some teams. It's going to take a couple of weeks for these guys to get game speed ready, not the rest of them.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot we can take from this. Like you said, the COVID protocols is kind of what some people have been pushing for, and it's helped Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
On the opposite side, I think it's hurt every team in the NFL in terms of conditioning.
Yeah. Guys were gassed.
Every game I watched, it looked like people were tired. And I know it's week 1; they haven't been doing this stuff, but it's a long season, and they didn't have the time to get ready that they normally would. And when you're expecting players to kind of get ready on their own,
yeah, we're going from off-season workouts where you're not trying to hurt each other to live fire full speed. Here we go.
Yeah.
Go hit somebody.
Yeah, so
and
maybe...
every single play in this league is a car wreck, man. It is you got 2 big opposing forces every play, especially the guys in the trenches. You are hitting each other every single play, and those guys are strong and fast, and they hit. Dude, I'm telling you,
Right.
it's just going to take a minute to get it going.
Yeah. So maybe in the future we have one preseason game.
I think there's a happy medium you could find. Maybe one or two preseason games,
Yeah,
or
two max.
maybe extended rookie or first 4 year workouts. Let the veteran guys come in after. There's some different things that you can
Yeah.
do to give some of those older guys a little bit more leeway. I think what this has a silver lining of COVID. It has given us an opportunity to take a look at those protocols and say, how can we find a happy medium
Yeah, we're
for all of this?
testing stuff.
Definitely what we were doing before was probably overdoing it, and this year obviously under. So there's a happy mix we can find, I think.
Yeah. Last one, Jackson. The crowd noise that some teams are pumping in and some teams are not. It
Right,
seemed
I
like
saw that.
most of the time they definitely were. But the crowd noise is a must have as a viewer.
I think so. I think it's kind of weird watching a game and you don't hear the crowd and you don't hear them getting hype and excited and upset and mad and like
Yeah.
it's and you just kind of see silence. Like, but one thing I have, like, Lucas, and we talked about this briefly, as a result from the lack of fans, was you can hear the lack of word player communication, player comms, like out on the field a lot more clearly now. I could hear every adjustment that Jared Goff was making on Sunday Night Football and talking to his players and saying, hey, pressure from here. This is the guy's the mic. This guy's the mic. Blah blah blah, and just keep going through it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I, as an NFL like play calling, like draw it up on the whiteboard nerd type guy, love that. Like, I love to be able to hear the player talk at the beginning of the line and afterwards and
Right.
that kind of. So I love that, but
Yeah, that was definitely cool.
I do feel like you got to have some crowd noise pumping in,
Yeah.
so I can, or even if it's just on the viewer side, if it's not even in the stadium, just pump it through an audio file to me. I don't care. But
Yeah, you gotta have the crowd noise. I actually don't know how they were putting it in, if it was just in the stream or if it was in the stadium itself. But either way, I do think the guys that are doing it need to get a little better. There are some times where it's like the home team like throws an interception and then the crowd went crazy, and I'm just like,
they're not gonna go crazy.
Turn it down a little bit. Like you're gonna have some fans, so like it's gonna be a little bit, but like turn that down a little bit. And then there was times where it's like there wasn't anything going on, and I'm like, man, it's real quiet out here.
It's definitely going to be a process.
Yeah, but I definitely got to take it. It is a must-have. And then, Mr. Jackson, we are here to our last segment of this week's pod. It's been great. This is a friendly reminder to everyone that next week we're going to start uploading this segment back on Wednesdays. It is officially time to bring back Hometown Heroes. And so we wanted to hit y'all up with this at the end of the pod. Get y'all ready for next week for it to start coming out. It's going to be its own episode on YouTube. It's a YouTube exclusive series, and it's going to be a great time. Okay?
Yeah, we'll talk everything about the only two teams that really matter in the NFL, the Titans and the Cowboys. So if you want to hear all of that, one simple video for y'all. Make it easy.
That's right. So, Mr. Jackson, I would like for you to give us your likes and dislikes from last week's game.
I like our little format. We come out here with 3 things that we liked and 3 things we didn't like. And this doesn't have anything to do with injuries or my Cowboy woes or Dak Prescott's interview. This is purely from the game, what we saw on Sunday night, and from Lucas, what he saw on Monday night. So, dislikes. I'll get those out of the way. First of all, we looked really flat. The rust was really showing, especially in the first half for us. I think that happened with mostly every team, with exception to probably the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Seahawks. But, it felt like, especially in our O-line, the trenches were really missing Travis Frederick. We talked about that earlier in the pod, but we just kind of came out flat. We were a little rusty. We had trouble moving the ball and advancing. That fixed itself in the second half, but we just kind of came out bleh.
Right.
Anyway, another dislike, our secondary, man. I have never missed Byron Jones so much because our secondary was getting eaten alive. And part of that, too, is contributed to a couple factors. One, our lack of star power on defense is pretty evident. 2, Jared Goff and having his weapons, he played extremely well. He was picking us apart. 3, Sean McVay and the way that he runs his offense and how every play looks eerily similar to the last one, but it's something completely different. The
Right.
way the motion, the timings of the motions, the handoff and fake handoff look the exact same. The offensive line movement. He is. I love Sean McVay, dude. Like just when I go back and I watch replay videos of like how this offense is pulled out and how they do certain things, like he is an offensive mastermind, and I love the way that
He's
he
really good at
approaches.
disguising stuff.
He's good at disguising, and so I think that was also a contributor to our secondary. Our secondary is very reactive to what's going on in the front seven, and the front seven every time it looks like a run, so they're going to react a certain way. So our defense is going to bite and react in a certain way too. So we just have to get a little bit better disciplined on the backside. But our defense, our secondary in particular, looked pretty bad. Last thing I'm going to dislike, you know this, this was coming. You can read this. Jalen Ramsey is apparently the Leonardo DiCaprio, bro. I don't know how he pulled off this acting job. There at the end, I felt like it was a really bad play call. And you can correct me if I'm wrong because you're objective on this, but I felt like both players were engaged in contact. Jalen Ramsey pulled, Michael Gallup pushed. It was back and forth. I don't feel like it was enough to purely give it a call as offensive pass interference. I felt like it was a no call, or I felt like at that point it's probably a no call, or maybe some defensive. Jalen Ramsey, of course, does his big time acting job. I hated that no call at the end. It was a beautiful pass from Dak all the way to Gallup. It was a 50-yard pass. Would have set us up beautiful in a position to win the game. So that was my thing that I disliked. I disliked the call there at the end, and of course I'm going to be biased. So I'm curious to see your opinion, Lucas, on what you thought about that call.
So he definitely did push off, and like there was some touching on both sides and stuff. And so my deal is, I'm okay with the call if they're kind of cracking down on that this year. If they're cracking, if all the refs are doing it across all the games, then I understand. If it was just that one specific scenario, and then we're gonna have other games where people are able to do that, and other groups of refs that don't really call it as much, which I'm sure is how it's gonna be, I kind of have a problem with that. Yeah, I kind of have a problem with it's not a set standard of, because it is kind of up to the own individual crews of refs on if they want to let them play or if they're going to be super strict on stuff.
For sure.
So I'm going to say I don't really like it because it was crunch time the way it was. But at the same time, if I'm a Rams fan, I'm sitting there and I'm like, how can you not call that like he pushed off? That's how he was able to catch that ball.
It's from two perspectives.
Yeah, and it's hard. I can't hate. So I don't like that the ref can like do that in that moment.
Yeah.
Like if it happened earlier on in the game, I would have exactly no problem with it, but I'm really 50-50 on it just because of when it happened, but I understand from both sides.
I understand the call. I didn't like it because, and of course I'm biased, because of the contact from both sides. I felt like Ramsey was pulling too, had his arm pulled out a certain way and locked out. So it was, anyway, I didn't like that call. Getting into my likes. So Lucas, we're speed this up for you. Our likes, I loved our D line. Our front seven, I think is the best front seven, when healthy, that we've had in an incredibly long time. Especially our offensive line, even missing Gerald McCoy.
Right.
We missed Gerald McCoy in the run defense aspect of the game. Our ability to cause a trash pile up at the line of scrimmage in the trenches, our lack of ability to do so, I think really kind of hurt us, especially against what they had going on in the run game. But I mean, Aldon Smith, talk about a guy who's had a comeback story, completely sober, and he's corrected his life. He went from homeless to this now, and on a 1-year veteran minimum deal. Used to be an absolute star. He had a sack. He played extremely well. DeMarcus Lawrence played great. Our rookie and our second-year defensive tackles showed up and played well. And just the way that our front seven, especially our D line, was playing, really liked how they were winning the battles in the trenches. I thought they played really, really well. I like that no matter how the game went, from our offensive struggles in the beginning to our secondary having an issue, to us being rusty, to the call at the end, we had a chance to win the game when it came down to it. And that's been kind of the tale for the Cowboys. I said before, We are now 1-7 in one possession games over the past 2 years up to this point. From the 2019 season to now, we were 1-6 last year. We're now 0-1 this year. In a
Right.
one possession game, when it gets close, we're having issues winning. At the same time, we've had a lot of games over the past season where we are in a position at the end of the game, regardless of how we played at the beginning, to win. And I'm choosing to look at that stat in a positive light because it's telling us that we're close. We're there. We're on the cusp. We're that close to being over the hump and being at 12-4 team. We're right there. And so I'd rather be right there than with the Browns right now. So that's how we're choosing to kind of look at this. And so we had a chance to win the game. That's all you can ask for at the end, regardless of how it comes out. This was controversial. My last like at the very end of the game, or not the very end of the game, it was 10 minutes left, 4th and 3 on the Rams 15. We decided to go for it. I like that we went for it. I like the aggressive play call. McCarthy showing faith in his team. Kellen Moore gave an interview about it later and talked about it and said, yes, super, super happy with the call. It didn't work out. There's a lot of different factors of why it didn't work out, but there's going to be more scenarios where that's going to happen and he's going to go for it and he's not scared to go for it. And where I feel like we were really conservative with Garrett, I feel like McCarthy's going to put us in a position to win, and we're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but we're going to leave all our cards out on the table and not go back and say, well, I wish we would have done this. So I like that at the end of the day. But that was my likes and dislikes for a little mini hometown hero segment from the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, so we'll get to my likes and dislikes, and then we will be our separate ways.
Indeed.
I'll start off with my dislikes. Number 1, injuries. All right, Adoree Jackson's gone. Joseph, our like 4th cornerback, got hurt in the middle of the game. I think he came back, but it's sketchy. I guess if I really don't want to say injuries, let me kind of change this into players not being there, because I need to add Rashaan Evans, who punched a guy in the beginning of the game and got ejected. I understand it's heated and stuff, but you can't do that. So we didn't have Rashaan Evans. We didn't have Adoree Jackson. We didn't have Vic Beasley. We didn't have our 4th corner who was in there trying, like, saving us. So I got like a 6th or a 7th round cornerback out there playing. And so it just did not look good. Also, people not being there. Taylor Lewan got hurt for just a second. He wasn't out long. He was only out for a play or two. But the fact that Isaiah Wilson, all right, the number 1 draft pick by the Titans, okay, our 1st round draft pick, wants to go out here and act like a fool. And when we needed him, he couldn't go out there and play. I have a problem with that. For those of you who don't know, real quick, Isaiah Wilson, let's see, where to begin? He's been on the COVID list twice, okay, so he's obviously not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He was caught at like a college party trying to jump off the balcony to run away from the cops because he was smoking weed. He was recently arrested for a DUI because Charlotte Avenue, in like literally up the street from Bridgetown, like it's up the street from downtown Nashville, like it's in the middle of everything. Yeah. This man's doing donuts underneath the red light, and he crashes his car. And that is not the Titans. And so obviously we weren't going to let him play, and he hasn't been getting to practice and stuff like he's supposed to be, and his conditioning in practice has looked terrible. So I have a problem with these people not being here. I don't like it. I don't like it, Jackson. The Adoree Jackson injury is really bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
The second thing I didn't like was the special teams as a whole. I know, like, everyone's like, oh, kicker. Well, you know, the kicker had 1 field goal blocked. Okay, well, the first one he just missed, right? It's like a 40-something yard field goal. He just missed it to the right. The second one got blocked. I've listened to people that know what they're talking about, and they said that it's not necessarily his fault that the blockers didn't do their job, okay? The third one, I believe it was the third one he missed, or the fourth one. One of those was a bad snap, and he is just now getting here, so I can't put it all on the kicker because he's new to the Titans, and so I'm giving it special teams as a whole because there's multiple people on the field goal unit that messed up. The punt returns were not good. Our coverage on punt returns was not good. And so I don't like that stuff. I feel that's how you lose. That's how you lose. And the third thing I didn't like was the offensive and defensive line. So I put just the lines on both sides of the ball. I felt like our offensive line should have done better. I know you've had COVID and it's week 1 and Dennis Kelly's at right tackle instead of Jack Conklin, but we did not look like the line we did last year. We didn't have that power. It really looked like we were getting beat in the middle hard. And I felt like we should have been able to pass block and run block better when they didn't have they didn't have Von Miller. And so onto my likes though. Oh wait, the defensive line. All right, the Broncos were running the ball on us, and we were not pressuring the quarterback like we need to. Clowney, brother. All right, need you to look. Jeffrey Simmons, you had a great game, but you didn't get to the quarterback. But you had a great game, so I respect you for that. The number one thing I liked, Jackson, was Corey Davis. Corey Davis had a great game. My man said he was coming out to get numbers. He had over 100 yards. Beautiful. Did everything he needed to do. Caught every ball that came after him. Made a catch on the sideline that was amazing. Second thing I liked was that we had key players step up when they needed to. Kevin Byard made plays. He forced a fumble. Jeffrey Simmons got the goal line stop on 4th down, and he also recovered a fumble. And then I've got the cornerback stepping up. I've got a 6th or 7th round draft pick, like I said, and he's coming up and he's playing. And I didn't hear his name any, so he must not have messed up.
I guess not. I guess he was saying.
So I really felt like there was key players at specific times that stepped up. Another person that stepped up was Will Compton. All right, this man comes out. He's been a journeyman. He comes on the Titans. I know he's like familiar with us, but he comes in, steps up, and plays middle linebacker, even though Rashaan Evans wasn't in the game, and did his job. And also, right before there was like a commercial break. Okay, this was really cool. Commercial break leading into the Titans kicking the field goal, and Gostowski, the game-winning field goal, and Gostowski was over there practicing by himself, and Will Compton actually went over and gave this man a hug and like talked to him.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming he just like basically told him like, hey man, like we're all with you, like you're gonna go kick this field goal, we're gonna win, and then like we're gonna have a great time on the way home, And so yeah, like good guy. So it's just like little things like that, leadership moments.
For sure.
Were awesome. And the last thing I liked was the coaching. I felt like we outcoached the Broncos, and I think that's a good reason why we won. Just kind of knowing what to do in certain situations, and it was when we needed something, we got it. Like we dialed up the right plays. I thought our offensive coordinator did a really good job playing against the Broncos defense, and I guess taking what he was given, and not trying to do too much. We weren't trying to just throw the deep ball all over the place. We just played our game, and it was a good time, and we won. Yeah. But that's all I got, Mr. Jackson.
Hey, fantastic. Guys, thank you all so much for watching the pod. I know we had a little bit of a longer episode for y'all today, but we appreciate you sticking around. Remember, Hometown Heroes is coming out starting next week. That's going to be on Wednesdays. The normal pod will be uploaded on Thursdays for you guys, normal programming for you guys right before the next weeks of games, so we can have our predictions and stuff out to you guys that morning. Again, appreciate you stopping by. Please be sure to leave a comment on every single YouTube video. We read every single one of them out for you guys on the pod. We can find us for all podcasts can be heard, every audio platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And thanks y'all for coming. We'll see y'all later. Love you. Bye.
Deuces.